Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Coins, where we explore the fascinating world of numismatics. Today, we are diving deep into the history of one of the most iconic pieces of American currency, the Washington Quarter, and specifically, we are uncovering the stories behind three of the rarest and most valuable Washington quarters ever produced. The Washington Quarter has been a central part of American coinage since 1932. It was introduced as a commemorative coin to mark the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The original design was created by sculptor John Flanagan, whose profile of Washington was based on a bust made by Jean-Antoine Houdon in the late 18th century. Dedicated to rare coins, valuable discoveries, and the fascinating world of numismatics. Today, we delve deep into the history, significance, and numismatic details of the 1972 Washington Quarter, a coin that continues to attract collectors, historians, and enthusiasts alike for its historical context, design attributes, minting variations, and its place in American economic and cultural evolution. The story of the 1972 Washington Quarter begins with the origin of the Washington Quarter series itself, which was first minted in 1932, to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The decision to honor America's first president on the quarter came after much debate and planning in the early 20th century, when the United States Treasury aimed to redesign its coinage for aesthetic and patriotic purposes instead of using the traditional allegorical representations of liberty. A movement led by Treasury Secretary Andrew W. Mellon suggested the coin should depict an American hero, in this case George Washington, to inspire national pride during a time of economic hardship as the Great Depression gripped the nation. The chosen design was by sculptor John Flanagan, whose right-facing bust of Washington was selected over other artistic submissions, including a popular design by Laura Garden Fraser. Though Flanagan's rendition was somewhat controversial for not being as stylistically refined, it ultimately became a staple of American coinage for decades and has remained largely unchanged on circulating quarters until the state quarters program began in 1999. The 1972 Washington Quarter came at a time of significant historical and economic developments in the United States. The country was dealing with post-Vietnam War transitions, Cold War tensions, and domestic economic instability, including the end of the Bretton Woods system, the growing energy crisis, and inflationary pressures, which influenced how Americans viewed money and savings. The quarter served not only as a means of commerce, but also as a cultural artifact reflecting the resilience and continuity of American ideals and leadership through the image of George Washington. In terms of composition, the 1972 quarter was minted in the so-called copper-nickel-clad format, a change that began in 1965 following the Coinage Act of 1965, which eliminated silver from circulating dimes and quarters due to rising silver prices and hoarding behavior. The new quarters consisted of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a core of pure copper. This change allowed for greater coinage output at lower costs and ensured the continued availability of small-denomination currency. The 1972 quarters were minted in three locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia quarters bear no mint mark, while the Denver coins are marked with a small D and the San Francisco coins with an S. The San Francisco Mint primarily produced proof coins for collectors. These proof coins are struck using specially prepared dies and polished blanks, resulting in a high-quality finish, with sharp details and mirror-like fields. Millions of 1972 quarters were minted, with over 311 million produced in Philadelphia, over 217 million in Denver, and more than 3 million proof coins from San Francisco. Although the large mintage numbers suggest that most 1972 quarters are common in circulated condition, there are many factors that influence a coin's value and collectability, including strike quality, mint, mark location, die varieties, planchet errors, and overall preservation. A closer look at minting technology of the time reveals how even small inconsistencies could lead to collectible varieties. For example, double die obverse or reverse errors occur when the coin die receives a misaligned impression from the hub, resulting in doubled features on the coin. Such varieties are highly sought after by collectors and can significantly increase the coin's value depending on severity, visibility, and rarity in the case of the 1972 Washington quarter. There are known minor die varieties and errors, though none are as prominent as those seen in other years. Nevertheless, searching for small anomalies like die, cracks off center strikes, clipped planchets, or repunched mint marks can be a rewarding pursuit for dedicated numismatists. The obverse of the 1972 quarter retains the classic Flanagan portrait of George Washington with the word Liberty inscribed above the date 1972 below and the motto, "In God We Trust," to the left of Washington's profile over the decades. This design has become deeply ingrained. American visual culture symbolizing leadership and stability. The reverse features a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings clutching a bundle of arrows with olive branches below, and the inscriptions United States of America and quarter dollar. Surrounding the image, the eagle symbolizes strength and the olive branches peace, a duality that reflects the nation's global posture during the 1970s. Analyzing the broader historical context of 1972 gives more depth to the coin's narrative that year. President Richard Nixon was re-elected in a landslide victory despite the beginnings of the Watergate scandal, which would unravel the presidency in the years to come. Internationally, the United States was adjusting to a shifting global order as relations with China opened up and the Soviet Union remained a central concern economically. The U.S. saw the unraveling of the gold standard inflationary pressures and stagnation challenges that influenced public trust in financial institutions and, by extension, the physical money in their hands. Coins like the 1972 quarter circulated widely in an era of social upheaval, from civil rights movements to the questioning of governmental authority, making these coins silent witnesses to dramatic changes in American society. From a numismatic perspective, grading plays a crucial role in determining the value of a 1972 quarter. Circulated examples are typically worth face value, though high-grade examples, especially those graded MS-67 or higher by professional services like PCGS or NGC, can command significant premiums. This is due to the difficulty in finding well-preserved examples from high mintage years, where production quality can be inconsistent. Collectors often seek quarters with full detail, minimal contact marks, and strong luster in both business strikes and proofs. The proof versions of the 1972 quarter struck in San Francisco are also of interest. Proof coins are manufactured using a meticulous process that involves multiple strikes under higher pressure using specially polished dies and blanks, resulting in mirror-like fields and frosted details. In the 1972 proof set, the quarter is accompanied by other denominations, including the cent, nickel, dime, and half-dollar, all bearing the S Mint mark. These sets were sold by the U.S. Mint in specially packaged sets for collectors and remain popular in the numismatic community. Beyond their physical and aesthetic features, coins like the 1972 Washington quarter serve as educational tools for learning about the minting process, U.S. history, monetary policy, and design evolution. They are also stepping stones for new collectors who often begin their journey with accessible series like the Washington quarters before progressing to more specialized or rare coin collections. Many young collectors start by pulling quarters from circulation, checking dates, mint marks, and condition, and eventually learning about the deeper historical significance behind these seemingly ordinary objects. In conclusion, the 1972 Washington quarter represents more than a 25-cent piece of currency. It embodies decades of American tradition, the legacy of the Founding Fathers, the economic shifts of the 20th century, and the artistry of coin design. Its place in history is secure, not because of rarity, but because of the story it tells about America, its people, and its values. Every time a 1972 quarter changes hands, it carries with it a fragment of that larger narrative, a reminder that coins are not just money, but miniature monuments to our collective journey. covered. As we travel through time, we will unravel the origins of the quarter itself, the life and influence of George Washington, the evolution of coinage in the United States, and how this particular year, the year 1974, reflects a pivotal moment in both American history and numismatic design. Let us begin with the origins of the Washington quarter coin introduced in 1932. The Washington quarter was created to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The idea of placing Washington on the coin was not without controversy, as traditionally United States coins avoided placing real people on currency during their lifetimes or shortly after their death. However, due to Washington's towering status as a founding father and the public's admiration for his legacy, Congress approved the design which replaced the standing Liberty quarter that had circulated since 1916. The sculptor behind the Washington quarter was John Flanagan, a talented artist who won the commission to design the new coin. His portrayal of Washington was based on a bust by the neoclassical sculptor Jean-Antoine Houdon, whose work was widely considered the most accurate likeness of the first president. The reverse of the quarter featured a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches below, symbolizing both military readiness and peace. The initial design remained largely unchanged for several decades until the introduction of the state quarters program in 1999, but the 1974 version still bears the classic Flanagan design. Now let us take a closer look at the historical context of the year 1974 in the United States. It was a time of significant change. Political tension, economic uncertainty, and shifting cultural attitudes. The Watergate scandal had rocked the nation, leading to the resignation of President Richard Nixon in August of that year, marking the first time a sitting American president had resigned from office. The Vietnam War had officially ended for the United States with the withdrawal of combat troops just the year before, and the country was grappling with inflation, unemployment, and the oil crisis of the early 1970s. This environment of upheaval was reflected in many areas, including the U.S. Mint, which faced challenges in coin production, material sourcing, and public trust. The 1974 Washington quarter was struck at 3 different mints: the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. Each mint left its unique mark on the coins, although quarters struck in Philadelphia bore no mint mark. Those from Denver carried a small D, and those from San Francisco had an S, while the San Francisco Mint typically produced proof coins intended for collectors that year. It also struck regular business strike coins for circulation, a relatively rare event that adds a layer of complexity for collectors today. In terms of composition, the 1974 quarter was made of a copper nickel-clad structure consisting of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This composition had replaced the previous 90% silver design in 1965 as part of the Coinage Act of 1965, signed by President Lyndon B. Johnson. This shift was a response to the rising cost of silver and was intended to prevent hoarding and reduce the government's losses in minting coins. Although the 1974 quarter contains no silver, its place in numismatic history remains strong due to its historical context and collectible variations. Among these variations are the rare errors and die varieties that can make a seemingly common coin highly valuable to collectors. Some 1974 quarters exhibit doubling on the obverse or reverse, which is known as a double die variety. Others may display off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or unusual strike-through errors where foreign materials become embedded in the coin's surface during minting. These errors occur during the high-speed mass production process at the mint, and while unintentional, they create unique and often highly sought-after pieces for numismatists. Additionally, the condition of the coin plays a major role in its value. Coins that have never been circulated or handled, and which maintain their original mint luster, are called mint state coins, and are graded on the Sheldon scale from MS-60 to MS-70, with higher numbers indicating better preservation. A 1974 Washington quarter in MS-67 or above can command significant premiums, especially if certified by major grading services such as PCGS or NGC proof coins from 1974, which were struck with specially prepared dies and polished blanks for a mirror-like finish, are also valued highly, especially those that have been well preserved over the years. Let us also consider the symbolism of the Washington quarter and its role in American society for nearly a century. This coin has represented stability, continuity, and national pride. Its consistent design reminds citizens of their shared heritage and history. George Washington, as the father of the nation, remains a powerful symbol of leadership, honesty, and dedication to democratic ideals. His presence on the quarter serves not only as a tribute, but as a reminder of the values on which the country was founded. As we dig deeper into the minting process, we can explore how a quarter is born from the initial creation of the master, dies to the transfer hubs, and working dies, which ultimately strike the coin planchets at immense pressures and speeds. Each step requires precision, metallurgy, and engineering. The U.S. Mint utilizes massive Schuler and Grabiner coin presses to produce millions of coins per day, with each press capable of striking hundreds of coins per minute. Yet, even with all this advanced technology, errors can still occur, leading to the unique anomalies that fuel the fascination of collectors worldwide. Throughout this journey, we must not forget the human element, the designers, engravers, mint workers, and inspectors who bring these coins to life. Each coin is a product of craftsmanship as well as machinery, and each tells a story not only of the year it was struck, but of the people who made it possible from the early days of the mint in 1792 to the modern era of high-speed digital minting. The legacy of the Washington quarter continues to evolve. Collectors of the 1974 Washington quarter often seek to complete sets that include coins from all three mints in both circulated and uncirculated conditions, as well as proof examples and known error varieties. This task requires patience, research, and often a keen eye at coin shows, auctions, and online marketplaces. The thrill of the hunt is part of what makes numismatics so rewarding, and the 1974 quarter offers a perfect example of a coin that is both accessible and rich in historical depth. The Washington quarter also plays an important role in educational efforts for young collectors. Coin clubs, schools, and historical societies often use quarters as entry points for teaching about American history, economics, and art design, and the 1974 quarter, with its connection to pivotal national events and its place within the broader numismatic timeline, serves as a perfect tool for such educational exploration. In conclusion, the 1974 Washington quarter is far more than a simple piece of metal used for daily transactions. It is a tangible piece of American history that reflects the politics, culture, technology, and values of the time in which it was made, from its artistic design to its metallurgical composition, and from its historical backdrop to its modern collectible status. This coin continues to fascinate, inspire, and educate collectors around the world. I invite you to join me as we continue exploring the amazing stories behind coins like this one, and uncover the hidden treasures that lie in plain sight, right in the palm of your hand, where we explore the rich and fascinating history of coins from around the world. Today, we are going deep into the story of the 1967 Washington quarter, a coin that carries far more history, significance, and intrigue than many collectors might initially realize. We will be diving into its origin, the reasons behind its unique composition, its design history, the context of its time, the economic and political changes that influenced its production, the shift away from silver coinage, the way it impacted American coin collecting, and the value and interest it still holds today. Let us begin with a look into the origins of the Washington quarter. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 as a one-year commemorative coin to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The design was so well received and so strongly associated with American heritage that it was adopted as a permanent coin in circulation, replacing the standing Liberty quarter, which had been in use since 1916. The obverse of the coin features a left-facing portrait of George Washington, designed by sculptor John Flanagan, based on a bust created by French neoclassical sculptor Jean-Antoine Houdon. The reverse initially showed an eagle with outstretched wings, perched on a bundle of arrows with two olive branches beneath, symbolizing strength and peace. Fast forward to the mid-1960s, when the United States found itself at a pivotal moment in numismatic history for over a century. American coins, including dimes, quarters, and half-dollars, had been struck using silver or silver alloys. However, rising silver prices in the early 1960s caused serious concerns within the U.S. Treasury and among policymakers as the intrinsic value of the metal in coins began to approach, and in some cases, exceed their face value. This triggered widespread hoarding of silver coins by the public, which created a shortage of coins in circulation and spurred the federal government into action. The Coinage Act of 1965 was passed as a direct response to this crisis. It eliminated silver from the dime and quarter entirely and reduced the silver content in half-dollars from 90% to 40%. The new quarters minted from 1965 onward were composed of a clad material with outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a core of pure copper, creating a durable yet cost-effective alternative to silver coinage. The year 1967 was the third year of this new clad coinage era, and it came with several unique features and implications due to the ongoing transition and efforts to stabilize the coin supply. The U.S. Mint made the decision not to place mint marks on coins minted in 1965, 1966, and 1967. This was intended to discourage the public from collecting coins based on mint origin and help ensure coins remained in circulation. Thus, all 1967 Washington quarters were struck without a mint mark, regardless of whether they were produced in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. In 1967, over 1.5 billion Washington quarters were struck, making it one of the highest mintage years in the series. This massive production was part of the government's effort to flood the market with coins to end the shortage and support the growing American economy. It also marked a significant moment in the democratization of coinage, no longer made from precious metals, but still bearing national symbolism and historical figures. The coin continued to serve as a medium of exchange and a representation of American values. The design of the 1967 quarter remained consistent with earlier issues. The obverse continued to display Flanagan's bust of Washington with the word "Liberty" inscribed above, and the motto, "In God We Trust," to the left. The date 1967 appears below the bust on the reverse. The heraldic eagle remains with United States of America and E pluribus unum inscribed above, and the denomination quarter dollar at the bottom. The details are crisp and balanced, showcasing the high quality of die engraving even during a time of intense minting activity. Collectors often ask whether 1967 quarters hold any special value, and while most circulated examples are worth only face value due to their high mintage and lack of silver, there are exceptions. Collectors seek high-grade uncirculated specimens, especially those with full strikes and sharp details, as well as special mint sets or SMS coins, which were issued in 1967 in place of traditional proof sets because the mint temporarily halted proof production between 1965 and 1967. The 1967 SMS quarters feature a higher quality strike and satiny finish compared to regular circulation strikes. These coins were specially packaged and sold to collectors, and although they were not proof coins, they displayed many similar characteristics. Some of these SMS quarters have become sought after by collectors, especially those with cameo or deep cameo contrast, where the devices of the coin appear frosty and stand out sharply against mirrored fields. In addition to their appearance, some 1967 quarters exhibit striking anomalies that have caught the interest of collectors over the years. These include die varieties such as doubled dies where parts of the design appear duplicated, due to a misalignment during the minting process. Although no major double-die varieties have been confirmed, for the 1967 quarter minor doubling has been reported and can enhance the desirability of certain specimens. Another fascinating aspect of the 1967 quarter is its role in the larger narrative of American coinage. It symbolizes the end of an era, the transition from silver to base metal, and the beginning of a modern approach to minting. Where durability and economy took precedence over intrinsic value, it represents a response to economic forces and public behavior, showing how coinage policy is closely tied to the broader story of the nation. Moreover, the 1967 Washington Quarter is an important educational tool for new collectors. It offers insight into minting technology, coin design, economic history, and the intricate balance between metal value and face value. It reminds us that even everyday objects like pocket change carry layers of history, art, and meaning that extend far beyond their immediate use. As we continue exploring the coin, we can examine how it circulated during the late 1960s, a period marked by social and political upheaval across the United States, the Vietnam War, civil rights movements, the space race, and cultural transformations all created an environment of change and uncertainty. Through it all, the quarter remained a stable part of daily life, exchanged in markets, given as change in diners, dropped into jukeboxes and parking meters. It was a witness to the American experience in a very real and tactile way. In numismatic communities, the 1967 quarter is often discussed in the context of clad coin collecting. It holds a place of interest among transitional pieces and is studied for its production techniques and metallurgy. The shift from silver to copper-nickel cladding introduced new challenges and learning opportunities for both the mint and collectors alike, including understanding how the new composition affects wear toning and strike quality. Another dimension to consider is the legacy of the Washington Quarter as a whole, and how the 1967 coin fits into that broader lineage. The Washington Quarter would continue unchanged in design until the introduction of the State Quarters program in 1999, making the original design one of the longest running in American coin history. The 1967 issue sits firmly within that classic period and serves as a bridge between the early silver issues and the modern collectible quarters of today. Collectors also sometimes focus on the packaging and distribution methods used for 1967 quarters, including the original special mint sets and government-issued holders, which are now collectible in their own right. Original packaging can add value and historical interest to a specimen, especially when preserved in good condition and paired with coins of exceptional eye appeal. From the perspective of grading and market value, the 1967 quarter provides a rich study in condition rarity coins graded at MS66 or higher by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC, can command premium prices, especially those with clean surfaces, strong luster, and well-defined details. The SMS coins with deep cameo designation are even more desirable to those assembling high-end clad-type sets or Washington Quarter collections. Finally, the 1967 Washington Quarter stands as a testament to the enduring legacy of coinage in American life. It reflects changes in technology policy and society while preserving the image of the nation's first president, a symbol of leadership and unity through changing times. It invites us to look closer, to ask questions, to collect, to study, and to appreciate the small yet powerful artifacts of our national story. So, whether you are a seasoned collector, a curious learner, or someone who just found an old quarter in your change, the 1967 Washington Quarter offers a journey through time and a chance to connect with the history, art, and values of the United States through the lens of one remarkable coin.